Welcome back and welcome to season 3, session 1. Today we have Josh from Skymount Recording Studios.
Yeah,
How you,
Skymount Studios. Yeah,
how you doing today?
doing good. How about you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
met last summer.
Yeah, it was last summer. Time flies, right?
It
Yeah,
does.
time
It's
flies.
almost been a year. I did the little interview for this season. So that'll be out like really soon, and then we're gonna get everything rolling. But thank you for taking the time out to do the interview
Absolutely.
and stuff.
Anytime.
Yes,
Anytime.
yes. And also kicking off the season, you're the first one for this little series that I'm doing. So we gotta make it count
Make it
and
count.
set the tone. um, I want to get in the role that you play in music,
Okay.
and just by you having this studio and working with artists, like how has that been for you?
So it's you wear a lot of hats, right?
Right.
And so I'm a studio owner on one side, and then on
Right.
the other side, I'm a recording and mix engineer,
Yes.
right? So it's from dealing with bookings and dealing with client management
Yeah.
to dealing with like the project from start to finish, as far as like when the artist comes in and they have an idea, and then we got to basically get it from like just this idea all the way to finish. And so balancing all those hats could be a task,
I
but
can imagine.
but
I can
yeah,
imagine.
but the longer you do it, the more you kind of get like a gist for how it all works.
Right.
And so yeah. So it's a super dope career. But like I said, being both, like typically you'll have like where someone may just be like an engineer or just a studio owner, but
Right.
with me being in both chairs, it's kind of yeah, juggling.
That's a brave
Yeah,
role.
yeah.
I tell you that. But in your words, what would you say a recording engineer does?
So basically, a recording engineer captures the basic definition is we capture the performance in the best quality possible.
Right.
So we make sure that the emotion is there when the artist is performing. We make sure that the studio is running smooth. We make sure that if there is any technical things that happen during the session, we catch it where the artists don't even know it. And so it's
Wow.
like it's almost like we are we make sure that the session just flows completely smooth. But outside of that, yeah, the base job of a recording engineer is to capture the performance using the microphone, the preamp, every
Yeah.
all our tools that we have in our.
So, like, in other words, technology meets
Tech.
sound.
Yeah, it's like technology meets sound. It meets you know, it's also a skill behind it, as
Right.
well. It's like you got, yeah, on one end you got the technology, but
Right.
on the other end, as the engineer, you got to know like what type of song am I working on. So if I'm working on like a hip hop song, I'm going to probably record that a little differently than if I'm working on like an R&B or a ballad song, or if so it's kind of like, yeah, where the technology meets like the skill of the engineer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know it was like different techniques for different sounds and genres.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And that's so like the reason why I'm doing this is like you can you can only speculate so much about what is being done or goes on, but you don't really know till you like have these conversations. So
And really see like what goes behind it.
yeah, and I was just like, that was like a really cool like thing. I
Yeah.
really blown away.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get in this profession, and how long have you been in it?
So this is now our 19th year now.
Wow.
When I was younger, I was in a gospel group, and we
Oh
used to kind of like
wow.
go around singing and touring and stuff like that. And that was my
Wow.
first introduction to music as like an artist. But the
Oh
more
wow.
the more I got into that, I kind of realized that I was a little more into like the engineering and studio side more than being behind the microphone.
Wow.
And so yeah, so that's what got me into the whole audio engineering studio space. And
Wow.
then when I turned 11 is actually when I started Skymount. That's when I kind of came up with the name,
Wow.
and I started recording myself. I started recording like a few friends and things like that. And I guess from there, I guess if you just want to, okay. From there, when I turned, I got to double check. Do you know what age I was when I worked with Jodeci? Was it like 16, 14, 15? So,
Oh wow.
so shortly after that, the first like celebrity group that I worked with was Jodeci. And yeah, they had actually came and stayed at my house for like 3 days straight.
Oh my
So,
God, because they're from Charlotte, right?
they're from Charlotte. Yep, yep. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so they came and stayed at my house for a little bit, and then I would say that was my new introduction to being like a professional engineer.
Right.
Because at first it was like a little bit of learning, a little dibble dabble. You're working with artists and stuff like that, but when you work with a platinum selling, Grammy winning group, they're
They'll
gonna
put you in a whole nother level.
yeah, they're gonna push your knowledge and your skills as as an engineer. So yeah, from there it's been like a snowball.
Wow, that is truly
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Like, so you being behind the mic inspired you to want to be like
The engineer.
the engineer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can sing.
I haven't sung in a long time, but
Or were you like just helping out?
well, yeah. So I was actually the alto I was the youngest in the group, and so I guess if you picture like a Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying, in like a group where it was me, my brothers, and my cousins, and they were all older than me, so my voice was like the highest, and so
cool.
and yeah, so that just inspired me to like keep going into like the audio engineering field.
That's so cool. Like, and you got the idea when you were 11.
Yeah, I got the idea of Skymount when I was 11. It didn't start like this. Like a
course.
lot of people think like, like how did you get this, whatever.
Right.
And literally, I would go and mow yards. I would go and
Wow.
just like hustled my way up to buying like one piece of equipment. And generally it would be like one time a year. So I would buy a piece of equipment. Another year I would buy another piece, and literally it built up to being a studio. And so
Wow.
yeah, so it was a grind and a hustle. It wasn't like a thing that was like, a loan or
Yeah.
all up front. And yeah, it was.
Wow. I don't even know what I was doing when I was 11. Like, I don't even think I was dreaming it. That is really impressive.
Yeah, I
Like,
appreciate it.
wow, and you stuck with it for 19 years.
Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. How important is a recording engineer to a recording artist?
They are I would say this, you can have the dopest song in the world, but if a recording engineer doesn't capture it correctly, that song that could have been great, that could have been a number one, it could have been next to a Beyonce song, whatever,
Yeah.
instantly, it drops. And so like the recording, so you have three different phases, right? You have like a recording engineer, you have a mixing engineer, and you have a mastering engineer.
Right.
Typically, I do more so recording, mixing, and I also do a little bit of mastering as well. So for me, if I'm getting the files from another recording engineer, I'm depending on them that they caught it right. So if I get like a song that an artist sends me and it's like something don't sound right, I'll instantly let them know like, hey, I can't even mix this because I'm hearing. And generally it's due to the recording engineer. It may be due to the recording studio they went to. It may have not been professional.
Right.
They may have recorded in their home and their home wasn't, treated right to be recording vocals. And so, yeah, the recording engineer that's the start of everything. It's like Papa John's, how they say better ingredients, better pizza.
Right.
It's exactly like that in recording. The better your recordings are, the more that we're going to get that song sounding like a number one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm sure over the years you picked up that skill where you just hear things.
Instantly, yeah. As soon as it's a trade-off, right? Because when you're younger and you listen to music, or just anybody, when you hear music, you just hear like the emotional side of it, right? You just, oh,
Right.
that's my song. You dance, you whatever.
Correct.
As an engineer, after doing it so long, when you hear music, you start to hear it differently. So I'm hearing like breaths, and I'm hearing like frequencies, and
Wow.
I'm hearing like things. Oh, I know what that engineer did. Oh, I could tell he put this on that or this. So you start to hear music in a more like scientific type of way. It's weird, yeah.
No, that is so cool. I always wondered, like, I mean, I know producers, they're probably the same way, but I feel like with your role is way more vital.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
way more vital.
Absolutely. Yeah, typically, yeah, even from the producer, like when they play the role of getting the initial feel in the beat production, but if you hear like a mix of like I guess before the engineer touched it, if you hear the files just from the producer and the vocals just from the artist, when you hear that with no kind of engineering on it, it's night and day versus the final product. It's like, wow, like, okay, I loved it before, but now this
I
feels like a
really
song.
love it,
And
yeah.
that's what the engineer does. It kind of takes everybody's thing and then making it to like an actual song.
You get to build the project.
Yeah, you get to build the project. You get to say, okay, I see what the producer was going for. Now let me actually get it there. I see what the artist was going for. Now let me actually get it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
Yeah.
What could an artist expect working with you?
Attention to detail. They can expect is I want to say perfection, but not, they can
Say it.
yeah, they can expect
Just
perfection.
say it, yes.
Again, that's where the recording part comes in at. Like
Right.
if I hear something, then I'm gonna say something like, hey, let's redo that part. And so and I would even say, let me even say, not even just working with me, but going to any professional studio. I feel like a lot of artists, they need to experience that, right? Because sometimes when you're at home, you get to kind of record, you get to kind of play around. You might not put your all into it, but when you go to a professional studio, you're going to get somebody who's like listening, like to what you're doing, and not, so they're like, hey, let's do, and so.
Yeah.
And so to me, you can really expect just to like really be an artist. Like, you're going to get pushed to be an artist. You're going to get pushed to try things, to like kind of, it might be things that you didn't think of that we're going to be like, hey, like, what if if you ask us to, like if you say, hey, can you give your input? It's like, okay, yeah, what if we try this? Or what if so you get like that collaborative type of,
Right.
thing working with an engineer.
An artist needs that.
They need that big time.
And I know a lot of them feel like they don't, but it's the only way to like push beyond and grow. Like I don't know. I know people who record at home and their sound and style does not improve because they're just in that one box and space.
And you don't have that other ear.
Yeah. I mean, after it's done, I mean, you could send it off for opinions and feedback, but it's nothing like that in the moment type thing.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
So they get an experience.
They get an experience, and they're working with like top of the line gear on top of that. So it's like not only are you getting the experience, you're recording through like the same vocal chains, the same microphones that all of your top favorite artists are using as well. So you're not, there's no shortcut being taken when it comes to making your music the best it could be.
Wow.
Yeah.
That y'all better come out and support.
Yeah.
This is the spot. We talked about the studio in which you provide. What would you tell someone interested in this position?
In audio engineering, I would say first it has to be a passion.
Right.
I know a lot of people they'll try to engineer or record themselves out of necessity, where it's more so like, hey, I'm an artist and I'm just recording because maybe it saves me money from going to the studio or maybe whatever, right? But if you actually want to be like an engineer and actually be really great at it, you have to have like a passion first. That'll be my first thing is, do you love, breathe, sleep engineering? If I go to your YouTube channel, I better see a bunch of engineering videos, you know what I'm saying, on your YouTube. So that would be my first thing. My second thing that I would advise them on is just like how it actually works. Like what's the schedule of an engineer? Because a lot of people are used to like going to work and getting off at 5, right? Or getting off at 5:36, right?
Yeah.
In the engineering world, the general just work schedule is gone.
Yeah.
It no longer exists, right?
You're dedicated to it.
Yeah, you're dedicated. So you might be in the studio some days from 9 a.m., 8 a.m., all the way until like 11 p.m. that night. your weekends are, if you have a free weekend, you just so happen to be free that weekend and have no session. So that may be a sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, for some people who may not like that imbalance of schedule. Now you do get to somewhat control your own schedule, but you're a contractor, right? So if you're not working on a session, you're not getting paid. If so it's like a lot of I would tell someone, yeah, passion first, and then just knowing what all goes behind it, learning your ins and outs of the studio, learning how to you got to somewhat be like a therapist to a degree, because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities.
Yeah.
And when people come into the studio, some people, their mood may be here. Some people's personalities, and so you have to know how to maneuver in a room full of anyone.
Yes.
Right? It could be your softest spoken person. It could be your most hardest person, you know what I'm saying? And you got to know how to instantly connect with each one of those people.
Yes.
Yep, and make them feel comfortable. So.
And that is the core success of this relationship is connections.
It's connections.
And being able to be in rooms with different people, like you said, that is really the struggle that everybody has to conquer in this industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not your craft or your passion, it's other people.
It's other people. Yeah.
So that's very great advice.
Yeah. Gotta be great. Gotta be great at that. Building those relationships and just being a likable person.
It's so important.
It's so important.
And I like how you said, when you were mentioning what you provide for the artists and stuff, and the feedback, and you wanted to say perfection, but you didn't. But 19 years of doing something, you've earned that right in that space.
I appreciate that.
And that's how you exercise that muscle so much,
Yeah.
And nobody can take that away from you.
I appreciate that.
And that's what I love so much about music and the industry and these roles, that a lot of people don't really get the light or the recognition they deserve. It's very vital.
Yeah, it is.
Because so much of what we hear today is dependent on these roles.
Oh, absolutely. For the longest, most people didn't know what an engineer was.
No.
They thought people came in the studio. They knew what a producer was.
Yes, and they get all the shine. They
get all the shine. Yep, that's it. And so people normally would think the artist goes in the studio. They would normally call the person sitting here the producer, right? So they'll be like, oh, I know them, the producer, then the song just come out. People don't realize it's a full-blown process. And like you said, there's multiple hats, multiple people. And so, yeah. It's a process.
And what's so crazy is I wanted to start with a producer until I really researched and dug deep. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yep.
They're half of this.
There we go.
So I
Every
was
time.
let me start from the root and the core. So
yep.
I was like, it's just perfect. It just all it lined up and it matched up. And I'm so glad that we was able to have this conversation. Yep. And this is an opportunity for you also to promote yourself as well.
Well, yeah.
And bring you traction in business, because I know a lot of artists.
Well, yeah, see, super dope.
And so I hope to bring you lots of clients and traffic. So,
I appreciate that. Well, yeah, definitely. And anybody that's looking to follow or find us, Instagram is at Skymount Recording Studios. Our website is skymountstudios.com. And so, either one of those, just reach out. And
yes, come out, support, book him. He is an amazing guy. And I wish you all the success. Both of y'all are so cool. I never when I met y'all the first time, I was they're so dope. Goals, literally.
We appreciate it.
So thank you for having me, and thank you for kicking it off. And well, guys, that is it for our time. Thank you for the support and just supporting me, and I just hope for this season to be something very informative for not only artists but for people, and to bring awareness and just get the word out of what the thing we love, music, so much, what all comes with it and entails. So that's my hope and my purpose for the season. And I'm so happy and I'm so excited. I know it's just a lot of emotion that I had, but yeah, thank you guys for supporting, and be on the lookout for all my upcoming projects and recordings on my YouTube, and my IG is bsugar92. You can find all my platforms, YouTube, my website, TikTok, all of that. So yeah. And that is it for today. Thank you.